Hello, everyone. If you could just take a moment, you are muted, so if you can unmute, that would be hugely helpful as we go into our conversation today. So I'm going to quickly, one other helpful tip, it might help for this to have us all in gallery view, which is up at the right-hand corner. I'm sure you guys know where that view is, but that kind of Brady Bunch view where we can see each other talking, because my thought today for these next 15 minutes is that we just engage in conversation around how we can cultivate social emotional learning. You guys probably have great things that you're doing already, and I know the best way to learn is from each other, and your time is incredibly valuable, and I know that it is very rare that you guys have this opportunity to meet with other administrators and have these discussions. So I'm going to kind of serve as your guide on the side. So if you need me, I'm going to be here to help moderate the conversation and kind of give us little conversation prompts. But feel free to take the conversation in any direction that you feel is valuable for you. We will report out at the end, but I really hope you guys find this time valuable and you can learn from others in our room today. So with that being said, social emotional learning, we know that we need SEL now more than ever. You know, we've been thrust into this pandemic. We're in the middle of a social justice movement, and our students and teachers alike are wondering how to handle it. And so I'm curious, what are some things that you guys are doing in your schools or your districts that help others, that help your teachers, whether it be in the classrooms, or it's just maybe you have successful ways that you found that work with teachers well. I'd love to hear those ideas and get that conversation rolling. So
I'll start. We did an after-school professional development just on self-care for staff, and just some things like you did, sending out little treat bags, and then they use those throughout the meeting, and just tips that they can use to keep themselves happy and healthy, and so they feel good about coming to work. I think the hardest thing for us now is working with the students, because we're on a hybrid program and we have such little time with them that I don't think that we always feel that it is a priority. So just coming up with those events or things for the entire building, at the same time social distancing and, you know, following all the PPE guidelines. So that's where we're kind of struggling a little bit more.
Absolutely. Does anyone have anything to add to that? Some things that you guys have tried, or you could kind of go off of what Paige was saying?
Right. Well, my district, we've been doing self-care PDs for the whole district. And also at my school, we have a positive school climate team. And we just got out of a meeting planning stuff for the staff, like every Friday breakfast, pod breakfast. And we even thought about even this Friday, just ordering from Panera Bread, things like this, stuff like that.
We've done similar. I did a happy social hour last Friday, different treats. McDonald's sodas are like a huge hit if you go around with a cart at the end of the day, and pretty inexpensive. And then in terms of our students, we were just awarded a Healthy Communities grant through Wayne State. So we've got lessons on those brain breaks and just how do we help students to stay healthy. So those are being implemented starting in the next couple of weeks with some announcements and tips there. But for us, we've been in school 5 full days a week since August 19th. And I think for a lot of the kids, just being together and seeing each other has been so good for their mental health.
Right. Well, we're virtual, and we did plan a spirit week for the kids just to get them excited. But we are about to return back to school. So we even did one of our spirit days, Mask Monday, so they can start getting the practice of wearing the mask. We'll see how that works.
We are also 5 days a week, and we have about 30% of our students that chose full remote, and then the other 70% are, in the building 5 days a week. And it has been, our district's really struggling. Our teachers are in burnout mode, which I'm sure everybody's are. So we actually are starting to enter a conversation about looking at adding in a plan day. So the students would go 4 days, and then and working with our recreation center. Our community is very, very involved. So we could offer other extension type activities with the churches and rec center in our community, because our teachers are just overloaded. So we're actually looking at kind of moving, I hate to say backwards, it's not backwards, but kind of taking some time out of the school. And our numbers are starting to go up also, so there's something to that. So.
That's awesome, because we're getting ready to go back to 5 days while our board votes on it tomorrow night. And there's a lot of fear and concern with the teachers. And that was one thing they asked about, if our board had considered that. So I bet that is helpful.
I don't know if we'll get there or not, but we're in the, discussion phases. So.
We did planning day as well here. So we attend 4 days, and then they have Wednesdays as their day for planning and meeting with their virtual students. Our teachers are teaching their online students as well as their in-person students. Some of the things that we found really helpful for those of you who are virtual and going back, we did a slow start, a 3-week slow start where we were cohorting the kids into the reds and the blues and going 2 days a week. And we found that was remarkable, especially for our kids with sensory issues and anxiety issues. It was a great way for them to just ease into school. And then when all the students came back, we did see a little bit of an uptick in behaviors with those anxiety or sensory kids, but not nearly what it usually is at the beginning of the school year. And so it was wonderful. We have a curriculum that we use called Caring School Communities, and teachers do class meetings that include lessons. We also use Mind Up, which is a very inexpensive way to incorporate some self-regulation. Those books can be purchased, right online. And we did move all of our class meetings to the morning from 8 to 8:30 with some training from our social worker on zones of regulation, so that we're checking in emotionally with each kid right away in the morning. Before, teachers had autonomy to decide when they wanted to fit their class meeting in, but because of just the trauma of this whole experience, we wanted to start the day the right way with an emotional check-in. So those are some things we're doing.
Thanks for sharing. Some great ideas out there. Now thinking about the need, and you guys had some discussions, and Donnie, you actually shared some actual, some good resources to reach out to. I'm wondering, when you look at it from a teacher, as an administrator for your teachers, what are some of the professional development needs you see that are out there that you're looking for? And maybe it's in the form of curricular supports or actual professional development, but what are those things that you see your teachers, your district needs to kind of keep that, get them trained in SEL and using it and utilizing it and really making the difference?
I think secondary wise, so I am currently a special education administrator, but I come from the secondary world. And second step, there are middle school SEL curriculums now. But when you look at high school, strong SEL, vetted curriculums, there are very few. It is very difficult for high school teachers to implement just the word, I'm sorry, my brain just I totally had a brain blank, but there are very few SEL curriculums for high school. So that would be a resource.
Yeah. Anybody else have anything that has worked or anything that you feel that would really help you? It might not even exist out there yet, but what is it that might help with that?
I think simplicity is the key right now, because our teachers are feeling, even our veteran rock solid teachers are feeling they're just very unsure this year. It's like they're in their first year teaching again, because it is so very different. And I just don't think they can do one more thing. So just all of that self-care that we're talking about, but also something very, very simplistic. And even just as simple as some of the apps for mindfulness, like Headspace and Calm, Those are very, very simple. They're guided, so the teacher wouldn't have to do anything. The Mind Up books are pretty scripted, very simple on regulation, but to actually purchase a brand new curriculum right now and train, there's just no way that that's happening. And so the simpler, the better, I think, with whatever you can throw together. Because I just can't see, I think they would walk out if you said, guess what? Brand new social emotional curriculum on top of everything else. So
and I don't disagree with that at all.
But Kate, to kind of play with what you were saying though, I think that's something that I've recognized in just doing professional development. There's hardly anything out there for secondary, right? I mean, and it's almost, it's a little intimidating, I feel, for those teachers, because they don't really know how to approach the topic appropriately, right? And it's viewed as that's for the younger kids, you know. They're the ones who need to learn how to have empathy and be kind. But, you know, those are things that we assume that they already carry with them into those secondary levels. And oftentimes, especially in years like this, we're seeing just a greater need for it. So I would definitely agree with you. And Donnie, I love all the resources that you have. I've been writing them down as we go, because I think that's helpful. And honestly, actually, when we're all done with this, you guys will all be getting all these, anything that was mentioned, you'll get the recording. We're going to throw together the resources for you. So you'll have access to those. When you think about, and I have to say, like, one of the biggest things I know when I was a teacher in the classroom is, I was in the normal years, right? It's kind of like the before and after the pandemic. And I can't imagine being a teacher right now. I can't imagine being an administrator right now. So I have to say, I give you guys all the credit in the world. I wonder, the big wondering I have around it is, how do we do it, right? And you know, we're looking at those ways all the time. And I think you guys touched on something that's really important, which is by making it timely, easy, relevant, and just something that they can do quickly too, because that's the last thing that our teachers need, is to be thrust into something brand new. So I definitely value hearing you guys say that, because you're definitely in tune, I feel, with what the teachers are feeling. How about other things around the topic of SEL? Are there some, are there other challenges, or maybe there are some successes, or maybe you just have other ideas that you want to share and learn from, or maybe you have questions that you'd like to ask the group? Let's go ahead and do that now.
I have another resource that I just want to throw out for the high school people. The Greater Good Science Center out of Berkeley is a really good place for older kids. They have some really neat empathy quizzes on there, and they're not for little kids, because actually we tried it with our 6th grade and there were some things that some parents were upset about, like flirtatious, or I can't remember what the feeling was, but anyway, really appropriate for older kids and even adults. There's a lot of good stuff. So if you just Google the Greater Good out of Berkeley, there's a lot on that website, and it's easy things that you can use, little quizzes that could jumpstart conversation. And I'm sorry, I'm off track. So I'll just end with that.
And something I've come across, it's Teaching Tolerance. You guys are familiar with that, but that's another great resource full of great ideas on this very topic, but also just having those tougher conversations, how to do that in an appropriate way. That's another great resource.
And Learning to Give, also tons of free resources, and they're out of Michigan, but they have been kind of branching out and really good stuff. They just updated with an SEL and social justice section with videos, ready to go lessons. So they're doing a really nice job right now.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Any last minute things we want to discuss here before we head back out of this room and onto the rest of our evening?
I think one of the things that I've found for teachers to help them specifically with the social emotional part, or just their well-being, is to try to gift them with time as much as possible. Like, we've added in some extra planning time wherever possible. Like, I've had PD planned, but gave them back some time for planning, because ultimately when it comes down to it, that's what they're asking for the most, and they're feeling like their time is strapped. And as much as I try to do some of these extra things for them, the thing that they're most appreciative is time, when I can give it to them.
Absolutely. And I think you guys are doing a wonderful job. So I commend you because you recognize that. So thank you for doing that. And we're going to get a little notice here. Did we get the warning on our screen to return? Okay, perfect. So we can go ahead and click that. Thank you again, you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And as you guys are waiting here, that hyperdoc is in the chat box. So if you want to click on that link, it'll link you to a lot of the resources that we'll be discussing today. Gives you some room for note taking as well if you're interested. And again, we'll be in contact with you again about other resources that we have that we've discussed today and that we have for you. So